So yesterday we spoke about polygamy and what Prabhupada had said about polygamy. And I promised that we would talk about prostitution because it's a very interesting topic, and how prostitution existed within Vedic times, and what did Prabhupada say about it. Well, he said that prostitution was actually a way to protect chaste women. Because as we said yesterday, men have a very big sexual appetite. In fact, one person said, the only relational skill men have is sex. Other than that, they don't have any. It's kind of interesting statement, in many ways true. So men have a sexual appetite, Prabhupada said. They're not satisfied with one woman. And as we all know, rape is prominent in our society today. So having prostitutes allowed men to legally fulfill their sexual need without having to corrupt or pollute virgin girls or innocent women. So we even hear something which is difficult to understand, that some women who were prostitutes were actually devotees. And how is that? Well, within our social system, we have a lot of upward mobility. Practically at least in America, anyone can go to school, get a loan, get a degree, get a job, and move up in the world. And if you have an entrepreneurial nature and you're good at business, you can be very successful. It doesn't matter who you are, where you've come from. And we see lots of immigrants landing in America with nothing, and in 10 years becoming extremely successful. So as far as I understand, the prostitutes were a certain class, a certain kind of perhaps outcast. And that was their profession, that was the only profession they could work in. But still, no matter what profession one works in, one can still be a devotee. So that's another point. But the idea was that chastity must exist within society, but if you have men, especially lower class men, who are unable to control themselves, then rather than polluting other women, rather than having relationships with unmarried women or other men's wives, there were prostitutes to satisfy their desires. Now in Mayapur, Prabhupada once said, there should be a room where anyone can go who wants to smoke. So he allowed this, understanding that we want people to come, and there will be people who smoke. Okay, it's just the way it is. So an allowance for something that exists, although we discourage it, still it exists, but there's an allowance for it. And so it helps control society. Now, as far as Brahmins are concerned, Brahmins are very sense-controlled. As far as devotees are concerned, we take vows. But Prabhupada has told us often about how society should be organized, because Prabhupada was thinking perhaps someday it will come to the point that devotees are in leadership positions and we will be organizing society, or at least we will have our own communities and we will have to organize our communities, and then those communities could expand into the broader community. So that's the idea. So I know it's a little foreign, and then you might say, well, what about modern day prostitutes? What if a man is not satisfied with his wife? Should he go to a prostitute? If we're devotees, no. We should learn to be sense-controlled. We should learn to transcend our animalistic tendencies and desires. And it's all too easy to say, I can't do it. Of course, I understand we are living in a culture which is, the sexual frequencies are all around us, but we have to learn how to detach or how to not be affected by it. I want to end with this one thought. It's a very beautiful example that Prabhupada said. There's a video of Prabhupada on the roof of the Bombay temple. And then some of the families brought young girls, they looked maybe between 9 and 11, to dance for Prabhupada. And you can see in the video that even though they're very young girls, the age of Prabhupada's granddaughters, he didn't look at the girls. They were dancing and he looked away, as a sannyasi, as a man. So this is what it means to be Krishna conscious when you're surrounded by a society where advertising uses women who are not well dressed. Women don't cover themselves that well. We just have to live in our world and not pay attention as best we can. That's the example that Prabhupada said. So, for men who are weak, men who are fallen in society, prostitution was allowed. But for us as devotees, as we said yesterday, the whole idea is we're trying to minimize our sexual attractions. So if the desire is there, we shouldn't think how I can fulfill it, but we should think how we can purify or transcend it. If you want to fulfill it, then yes, you have children. You have procreation for having children. That's the utilization of sex. It's the pure utilization of it. That's what it was created for. And beyond that, sex is being used to manipulate people, to market products, it's basically being used to sell, to get money. That's another topic. We can talk about that tomorrow. Hare Krishna. If you like this video, you can subscribe below. Also, I'd really appreciate it if you share this video with others, if you comment on it, if you like it, do whatever. You have to click to share it, because I think a lot of devotees would appreciate getting these videos. I try to take our philosophy and put it in a practical way so we know how to apply it in daily activity. And this is one of the services I do. And I want to reach as many devotees as possible. If you can help me, I'd appreciate it so much. Thank you.